Hey guys, this is Louie's Restaurant. We are coming to bring some great content to the table about the Godfather game, from interviews to education to news. We're here for anything Godfather related. We have a fantastic team with Frigg and CJ. They're all great players who add a lot to the community and have been around for a while. My name's Luffy. My main server is 24-2, and I'd love for you to meet my other co-hosts, so I'll give them a chance to speak real quick. CJ, if you want to go first, and then Frigg, if you want to introduce yourself as well.
As you've heard before, it's CJ. Uh, uh, glad to, yeah, glad to be here.
Hi, this is Frigg. I have been a part of the Godfather community for about 7 or 8 years, and I'm thrilled to be here.
Awesome, thanks guys. And we have an awesome co-host, great guy. Some have called him a man, some have called him a legend. Um, Other people have told him that he has a bad college sports team, and that's Sterling. You want to say a few words here?
Well, first of all, that last part is completely incorrect. That's never happened before. So yeah, let's just get that straight.
I'll apologize. I'm sorry.
Outside.
I'll just have to remind you that Alabama did beat Kentucky in basketball this year.
That is true. But we have a new coach, so
Uh, cool.
so your main server is 1018, right?
That is my one and only server.
Your one and only server. And you're known for many things in this game, but what would be the main one?
Honest to God, I swear it's probably the Legend of Bernardo. Um, and I'm not joking when I say that. Um, I've played on a few different servers, and um, I think having been on this one the longest, um, the Legend of Bernardo is kind of something that transcends just one server, and I'm actually extremely proud about that.
I'll tell you, I knew about Bernardo and the legend there before I ever knew your name.
There you go.
We're here to talk about the FCL finals today, which you were a part of against 102.1. This was a good finals. It went back and forth there for a little bit. You guys came from behind, and it was a really good battle. I would say when it comes to questions about that, the first thing I want to ask you is this is now your, I don't know, how many seasons in a row being dominant, if not completely dominant?
I think I had to look at this before, but I think this was the sixth season, and this is, I think, either the third, second or third time I've won it with this family. But the family that is kind of the core behind it has won it 5 out of 6 times, and I think the only other time was SQD, which was 10.1. I want to they're 102 something now. I don't know, but for some reason they didn't even compete this past season. It would have been really interesting to see what they could have done.
Hmm. So, with that history of dominance, are you excited to see others giving you a hard time now?
Yeah, absolutely. And I've said it before that the whole family really enjoys competition. Whenever there's not competition, people start getting complacent, and we struggle to even have 19 or 20 people show up for a fight, and you end up having a few different people trying to run a couple of different accounts at the same time, which is never a good thing.
Yeah,
But competition breeds, I think, uh, more success for a lot of different things.
yeah,
So it pushes us to be better. It pushes everybody else to be better too.
I agree. I definitely agree.
I love how, like, this past couple months, we had that big merge between Zones 10 and Zones 14, and we've gotten some really great, strong servers from that merge. So I was kind of surprised that the strength that they brought to FCL. So I was wondering which opponent surprised you the most?
Well, actually, um, I think we kind of knew a little bit of what to expect from each server, but I think the one that had the I guess the biggest surprise just overall was 1025, which was NFC. Um, and I think they surprised us in a couple of different ways. Um, they have a couple of well, even before merge, they had a few very strong players in their family, but then after merge, they picked up a couple of others, and I think the amount of just power that they have at the top that was really surprising to see. Because the last time that I met Jasper, he was on I guess it was 14 whatever, and it was him and I think one other guy that were going against my family, but he had just a bunch of smaller cities that were with him. But when you start adding a bunch of bigger cities, like they really they developed a cob that could hit really hard. And I think what kind of surprised me the most is that they decided to go with like a smaller cob rather than going with something that had 30,000 troops or more.
Hmm.
If you were to look back at our battle record with them, most of their cobs were 25,000 or less.
Wow.
And I think that was the part that really surprised us was that they decided to go with a smaller cob and really focus on that.
That's really awesome. Like you don't normally, I think we've had this discussion before between Cobb size and initiative question, and it's interesting that they went with that strategy. Speaking of Cobb strategies, if y'all don't mind, did you guys see any sort of differences in the troop types that are used, or is everybody still kind of sticking with the same thing?
No, most everybody's still doing kind of the same thing. The only people we saw that were doing anything different were it was 1011 Evo server.
Hmm.
And then 1025 is still kind of playing around with like a knives cob. Uh, I kind of went into the fight with them expecting to see something a little bit different, but they pretty much stuck with just the knives and the cars. But they had been kind of playing around with the bombs cob too, which would have been really interesting to see. But um, yeah, I think knives and cars are still going to be the kind of the standard for what you're going to see, though.
Yeah, just to follow that up, we do primarily see driver cobs with knives coming in there up at the top. Do you think guns and bombs can be viable?
Yeah, 100%. Like that's the one other family that has won FCL before. They did a guns cob, and then they had two. They typically would run three cobs at once, so they would have two cars cobs and then one guns cob. And man, the guns cob before they had all the people quit, that was something that was really really tough. Um, and I've actually seen two, and this was in CCSE, but another family had put together a bombs cob, which is tough to do, but if you have the right players, you can definitely pull it off. But the advantage that that one has is one, you can still hit pretty hard, but it also you still have dodge that's involved in.
Yeah.
And it was really interesting to see that. I think it would be interesting to see somebody really kind of develop that, but I don't expect a lot of people to do it though.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know. You'd be surprised. You'd be surprised. I
Yeah.
mean, people are
Mm.
always experimenting, especially with the new abilities and the new capos that are coming out.
On
It could
20
be
No, yeah.
something.
on
Yeah, it
24,
could
I
be
know
something.
we have bombs cob.
Yeah, they're very good. They are very, very good.
Well, I wasn't impressed by 24 when I played him.
Oh, not us.
Okay.
Not us.
Uh, no. Um, we didn't actually really think about that until it was a bit too late, I think, really. We were more developing on everything else apart from them. Um,
Yeah, I've made that mistake too.
yeah. We have a few good guys that they run bomb forces like that, but obviously the other teams have an advantage They've spent a lot more time on them.
Oh yeah.
Um, that kind of leads me into my question a little bit. So obviously, I wanted to ask quite a lot of questions about specifics, especially when it comes to FCL. There are some areas obviously we can't touch on. If not, everyone's going to know all the secrets, and you can't really have that. Um, but it'd be nice to know, firstly, what kind of capos do you use in your hotel specifically just for FCL? Um,
So that's kind of one of those areas where like you appoint capos because they may or may not be effective in FCL, but you appoint them on the off chance that they are, and there's not really a way to verify that they work. But I typically will put the main ones are going to be Willie, the I think he's a bombs capo, but when you appoint him and his special ability is he adds the extra attack in combined operations, and then I'll typically add also either Felix or Meyer Lansky. With Felix gives you the extra HP, and then Lansky gives you the ability to dodge. So those are typically the ones that I'll have assigned, and then the ones that are specific to like getting FCL coins, um, which have not really been an issue this season. But I think it was Vincent when you assign him in the hotel, you get a certain amount of extra coins from each fight. But aside from that, I really don't touch a whole lot of stuff.
yeah, you keep it kind of, yeah. I understand what you mean. It's more focused towards like cob capos and buffs, really. It all depends on what
100%.
you, yeah. Well, that'll also lead into me asking another question, obviously. Um, now, yeah, like I say, I wanted to know so much. I wanted to know details, but we can't touch there. Let's go into the easy stuff, like your capos, which you've used, you've gone over. What about your ornaments? What would you use for ornaments? Would you use ornaments like the crystal heart? Is it called the crystal heart?
Yeah.
The cob
Mhm.
increase. Is there
So
anything you'd use?
yeah, so kind of what we do is everybody has an assignment, um, and we use different line groups so that everybody knows what they're responsible for. And we only started kind of adding this extra line to it, extra line, but this extra category this season. So we typically have designated cob starters, and those are ones that are going to have typically the highest initiative, which I kind of used to be up there in the family, but as you quit spending, ironically enough, you start falling behind in that. So typically, what we do is the people who are the designated cob starters make sure they have ornaments that are focused on getting the highest initiative possible. So, like if you get three plus 40 ornaments, that gives you another, what is that, 120
Yeah.
initiative points. So the people who are designated cob starters will have initiative ornaments, and then typically all the other people will have ornaments that are designed around driver or car attack, damage, and HP, that type of stuff.
Hmm.
So it's very on purpose and very specific. And I think we saw um, some good results from starting to focus on doing that. We didn't do that before this season. Even halfway into this season is when we started adding that extra line to it. But um, I think it makes a big difference.
Yeah, that is a great strategy. I'm guessing not a lot of people are actually going to think of doing that either. They're all thinking of just throwing everything together and kind of hoping it works. I think,
Yeah.
yeah, that's what a lot of people end up mistaking and doing.
Yeah. I
The
found it.
one other thing I would add in there, just kind of unrelated to what you were talking about, but I think there are only a few people out there that really kind of understand how to use bait troops. And whenever we're talking about FCL finals, I don't want to sound like I'm talking down on DTH because they're a tremendously strong family and have a lot of respect for everybody in it. That was one thing that I was kind of surprised by is that their baits were really um, simple. Um, and I think they actually used more tiers of baits than we did, but we just used ours more effectively. And that's one of those things like we get into the weeds on it, and it's really kind of tough to figure out exactly how it works, but somehow it works. We only use a certain amount of the tiers, and we just spread those around amongst other people in the cob, and it just works.
Yeah, so many people forget about bait troops. It is unbelievable. Um,
Yeah,
you
I
got to learn something. Sorry. Yeah.
oh, you're all good. I would say that um, you said something that was very interesting to me. You said HP ornaments. Is there ever a position where you're going to be using like the coin for the damage reduction instead of the HP, or would you rather have the HP?
Well, so not to, uh, it's kind of a sore point for me. I missed the boat on the fifth anniversary ornament. Um, so I don't even have that one, but we typically are going to focus on attack and damage first. And then outside of that, if we add HP or damage reduction, either one is fine.
Yeah,
But the attack and the damage caused, those are the most important.
interesting. Um, so just to kind of touch on it, since you mentioned it, uh, there are baits and cobs can only one tier can only fight one tier at a time, correct?
Maybe.
Maybe. Is that the predominant thought?
Um, I don't think there's any way to actually prove that one way or the other.
That's fair.
But yeah, so just in general, like obviously I won't go into specifics, but in general, since they have T13 troops now, we will typically use cars that go from T8 all the way up to T13.
Hmm.
And if kind of go back a little bit, like even last season, ICU was one of the ones that was the best at using bait troops. And what they would typically do is that they would use either like they would have one person that would do 5 to 10 troops of one type, one tier. So like they would do 10 T1 knives, 10 T2 or 10 T1 knives, 10 T1 bombs, and so forth, all the way up until they got into the newest tier possible. And um, what we would do to try and counter that is basically just add as many attack slots as possible. And so what I mean by that is that when you're setting up for any type of attack, whether it's Cobb or regular city attack, you've got 4 different slots that you can use.
Yeah.
And so you try and basically add 4 different tiers of attack in your arrangement.
Hmm.
So if that makes sense, you would essentially have um, however many people in the Cobb that would use 4 different slots or 4 different tiers of attack. And so if you go now from T13 all the way down to T8, what is that?
Five.
7, 5? Yeah. Yeah. So that's all that we use. And most of the time, we're still able to clear all those different tiers of baits.
Yeah.
So I think in general, with a combined operation, as long as you have enough tiers or enough slots to attack, it doesn't necessarily matter how many different tiers of baits that the defender or your opponent uses, if that makes
Interesting.
sense.
Yeah.
It does. Yep.
I appreciate you answering that so thoroughly. Um, so getting back to the actual battle, Tuesday, y'all took an L. How did it
Yep.
feel after that Tuesday fight? I don't even know if you took an L the entire tournament. And you take your first one
No,
in the first match of the finals. What were the thoughts like after that?
I was kind of worried going into it because it was the first FCL fight, playoff related, that I've not been able to join. Um, I was busy. Normally, my workday starts just late enough where I can join. I can either get into work early enough and make sure that I'm able to join FCL, or start a little bit later. But just that day, I was not able to join. So I had kind of a bad feeling about it, but I still, having faced DTH earlier in the season, I still kind of felt good about it. Um, not Again, I don't want to take away from DTH because they did exactly what they had to do to win that fight, and they won it fair and square. And I can only tell you what my guys told me after the fight, because our first Cobb didn't even launch until 7 minutes into the fight. And I maybe somebody from 1021 can correct me on that if that's incorrect, but that's what I was told. And anytime that you give up points for 7 minutes in FCL, it's not a good sign. Um, I was also told that our designated comp starter, like he wasn't even there for the first 15 minutes.
Hmm.
So everything that they did was basically just scrambling to try and put something together.
Yeah.
Um, but having seen the score after the fact, given everything that happened, I think myself and Enzo, NDR, who's the R5, he is like the Cobb genius of Godfather. Um, I think we both felt really comfortable, really confident that uh, if everybody showed up on the next fight, that we would still be able to handle business and win the fight.
Yeah.
So it was surprising at first, but not alarming after the fact, if that makes sense.
Yeah. And good on DTH for being the more organized army in that fight. I mean, that takes a lot, and I mean that I don't think you were trying to take away from that at all. I just was what I noticed was the most organized team wins, and it doesn't matter if you're 1HM or DTH or NTR or FPR. If you're not organized, you can't really win.
Yeah, and
Absolutely.
it's worth pointing out that it's the first fight probably ever in all of our FCL competition that we've never won a Cobb.
Wow.
That's what they told me, is that literally DTH won every single Cobb in that fight.
Wow, that's impressive.
Yeah, 100%.
I would like to take the moment and just give um, huge props to DTH to making it to finals, to winning that battle, and doing so well this FCL, coming off of their merge. I know that was a big accomplishment for them. So I just want to give them a round of applause for doing that. I don't want to take away from their accomplishments with our conversation, and hate that they could not join us today. But I do want to ask, after that loss on Tuesday, which is, for me, everybody knows that I'm a big supporter of 1HM and how great they are at handling FCL, amongst other things. How did you guys prepare for the next round? I mean, that was a loss for you guys. It was close, but it was still a loss. So, what did you guys do to prepare for things on Tuesday? And or not Tuesday, on Thursday? And was there any sort of strategy change for you?
Well, there's definitely a lot of talk about it. Um, it's one of those things where, you know, there were some people that wanted to really get complicated with it and try and just outsmart what they were doing. And at the end of the day, like we took a look at it, and I think we didn't even have to actually have a conversation. But Enzo and I, we just kind of like, look, guys, if everybody shows up, we have the advantage. So let's do our thing. Our plan was to basically, we were gonna defend two blocks on the central neutral blocks, and then what we had noticed from the first fight and then the other fights before in the season was that what DTH tended to do was they might have two cobs going at the same time, but typically what they would do is that if they sent a cob and they took a block, they would typically most of the players would recall pretty much immediately. So we were set where we had one person specifically that was designed or designated to start a cob on whatever block that they took from the center blocks, and we would within just a minute or so have that filled up and then send it and take the block back. But we felt very confident that we could defend the two blocks that our strongest player originated the cob on. The trick, kind of the catch to it, was that we had to make sure that everybody understood that after we defended the cob, you had to recall your troops, heal whatever was damaged during the fight, and then send them back as quickly as possible. And DTH, they almost caught us in between refreshing, but we were able to get it done quick enough so that we still were able to defend it each time.
That's interesting. You trusted your strategy enough to just go right back at it because you didn't actually get to execute it fully the first time. I like that.
If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Yeah, exactly. I really wish I could have been there to watch all them fights firsthand. That would have been a really good experience.
Well, and kind of one other curveball that we had in the first fight, like not to go off track, but like when we had this merge originally between my family and One IT. For one, I'm not going off on the R6 thing. I totally could. But what Enzo had told me is that he wanted me to basically be the person that was directing everything that was going on in FCL, so that if we needed to start a cob on, say, block 3, I was supposed to be the one that was going to direct the traffic on that and make the call. And being that all the other stuff that happened on Tuesday, the fact that I was not there to direct the play calls, I think also added a little bit into it. Being that he speaks Italian, he's got to translate, so it adds, a few extra seconds onto everything that they do. So that was another little curveball they had to deal with that day. But yeah.
Interesting.
Happens. I mean, it happens. We're all human. You can't be on top of the game 24/7. Yeah. Well, I know how expensive it is to make these troops, and I'm pretty sure, well, all of us here know.
Yeah, it sucks.
What I'm really interested in knowing is, did you guys have to, how long did you prepare for? How long did you prepare to get all these speed ups to heal fast, like speed heal? And how much laundered bank did you end up having to use for these events? I bet it was crazy.
Mine was not as high as some other people, but I've been saving up the banknotes for a long time. I still have probably 3,100 times 100 banknotes. So what was that, like 31 billion that saved up?
Good Lord.
Oh my God. Only bank could be cobs.
If you shut up, don't give them ideas. I've been saving them up for just in case of an emergency. And it was the semifinals versus NFC. I had to bust them open just a little bit because it was such a bloody fight the first two times. Sorry. And yeah. But that's what I had saved up. I think I probably used close to, I don't know, 8 million or so
Goodness.
in banknotes during the week. Um, but I, God, I felt so bad for them Mott, who's their R6, man. Like, I, I'm just speculating, but like he probably most he could have gone through it like 20 million with all the troops that he was healing.
Wow.
Um,
Oh my
it could have even been more than that, to be honest with you. Like,
God.
yeah,
So these top level fights are expensive, is what you're saying.
yeah, yeah, it really is. Which is why, um, shout out to all the people that provide the baits for the bigger people. Like, you guys are the real heroes. Um, like, yeah, it's not fun. Um, Fortunately, most people have enough of the regular resources, but man, that clean cash is that's tough.
I mean, it's just a struggle to get it in the first place, and the fact that you have
Yeah.
3,100 of those 100 banknotes kind of makes me a little jealous, but you
I
know.
don't think I've even seen that
Yeah, for real.
much in my whole
No,
time of playing this game.
I've been saving them up for a very specific purpose of just in case.
Like that. That's very well prepared.
To answer the other question, as far as like speed ups go, like we haven't had to use that many healing speed ups, which is, um, you know, I hate sounding like I'm bragging or anything like that, but like earlier in the season, we fought DTH, and I think they kind of were of the same mindset as us, is that we don't want to use any more resources than we have to. So after the first couple of cobs that we went through, they just threw it down and said, "Look, nope, we're not doing it anymore. We're saving our resources for the end of the year." And I think that's what a lot of people end up doing. But we told everybody, look, use whatever coins you have, purchase as many speed ups as you can, and make sure you use as many as possible. So, like in the last fight, the one that I actually got to record, I probably used at least, it was probably more than 100 marching speed ups. Um, Healing speed ups, I think I probably bought about 100. I didn't use all of them, but I used a lot. Um, but the marching speed ups, I went through at least half of the stuff that I purchased.
Wow.
Um, so yeah, it was really key to be able to refresh the bait troops, especially in the two blocks that we were defending, and speeds were the real key to that.
Hmm.
Oh, 100%, yeah.
Well, so you guys seem to be very good at getting a lot of people online all at once, and that's a struggle for a lot of people because of real life commitments, time zones. I mean, you said you have one guy who's Italian. I would imagine he lives in Italy. That's just a whole nother continent. Um,
Cool.
how does
Yes,
your
that is accurate.
family overcome the difficulty of getting everybody online at once and showing up?
Um, it's tougher to do when there's no competition, like I kind of alluded to earlier, but we use kind of a polling system. So we'll do a line group that is specifically just for FCL participation, and ideally we'd have um, more people giving their input than actually happens. But people are supposed to say whether they can join, whether they can't join, what time they can join, and if they can do just one account or if they can do multiple accounts.
Hmm.
And that kind of leads into what the actual preparation is going into the fight. So we typically will have a couple other people that will show up um, whenever the fight actually starts or just before. But most people kind of know what they're expected to do going into the fight, and if they've already said that they can join, they know exactly what they're expected to do.
Yeah.
I know I was part of a family that absolutely just struggled getting people to answer the poll. Like, I think we would have maybe 5 to 7 people commit in a poll. And then trying to get a full team actually registered for FCL was very difficult. So the fact that you guys can have that level of organization and that level of commitment in your players who've been playing for 8, 9 years, whatever, is just absolutely amazing to me. I applaud you guys on that, because that alone, that organization and that commitment is part of what's driving y'all's success.
Well, I think it's kind of a residual thing too. So not just myself, but I think a lot of people take pride in being so successful in FCL, so they want to maintain that level of success, kind of like a newly retired college football coach that we all know of.
Hi ho, the
So
witch is dead.
Oh my god.
wait, can we
Oh my.
curse? Is that's a rule though, isn't it? I can't curse.
I said the witch is dead. I said the witch is dead.
I'm pretty sure we can like insert a duck noise or something to cover over it.
Oh my lord.
Okay. I might just address that after the fact. But, yeah, the most successful college football coach in history. We'll just leave it at that.
I wouldn't be
Success breeds more success.
I wouldn't be celebrating his retirement if he was not very successful.
Oh
Uh-huh.
god. I was waiting.
Well,
for
that is
this.
true. All of the people that have lost feeling really happy he's retired now.
Well, it's Kentucky. They lose to everybody.
Oh no. We've been okay recently.
I mean, congratulations on winning 7 games.
Yeah, it feels good. This is a new experience for me.
Oh my lord.
Oh,
Speaking of having successful wins, and many of them, how do you come to find winning methods to created Cobb forces the way you did? Was it trial and error, or did you guys have assistance in figuring things out?
No, I didn't know a damn thing about it. So this was my take on it. I think when they started introducing elite games and elite bosses, especially, is when people started really kind of figuring out Cobbs. Um, so there was one IT was really the family that first kind of um, dominated when it came to combined operations, but I think they kind of took the cue from um, it was HOK was the original family. I want to say they were 9-3 maybe originally,
Mhm.
and I think that they kind of figured out that in combined operations, when you start using bait troops, that you were able to like your main troops are able to survive longer and do more damage. And I actually remember during CCSE one time before we merged with 1LT, my family tried to cob one of the blocks from HOK, and we were the strongest family at that point, and we got absolutely decimated because they did such a good job layering their bait troops, and that was a really kind of an eye opener. And I think that's along the same timeline of when 1IT started kind of diving into what it took to make a good cob.
Mhm.
But everything that I know, I basically learned from 1IT. So those guys were the originators, the innovators, and just the best overall. And like I said, my Italian friend Enzo, he's the goat of combined operations. Like he understands that better than anybody else.
Yeah, he's brilliant by far. I would not question that at all. But you were talking about y'all's learning during Zone 6, correct? So at
Yeah.
that point, you guys were on different servers, and they were figuring things out with Cobbs. You guys were learning the hard way about Cobbs. Were you guys talking at this point? And learning from each other, or were you guys just learning things separately and then you brought it together once you merged into Zone 101?
Kind of a little bit of both. Like there were some things that they had not figured out that we would help them with. We would do test cobs. Like we still do test cobs now. Like we tested out a knives cob with, if you know Kaishu, his family. We
Hmm.
tested out a knives cob with him. I think they're 1015 at this point, maybe. We tested out a knives cob with them just this past CCSE, and so yeah, we would test things out in between ourselves. It definitely helped out having that relationship already built. Like the original, not to talk about myself, but the original kind of idea behind the YouTube channel that I created was so that everybody could kind of get a replay of what happened in the FCL finals and semifinals.
Hmm.
And during, it wasn't the first FCL season, but I think it was the second one. Um, I was able to log into one of their bait accounts, act as their baits, and then actually record the fight. Um, and upload it to YouTube so that everybody could kind of see what happened. And
Yeah.
that was kind of the plan. And so everything else kind of spawned from there. So we had a really good kind of working relationship going. So he didn't give me all the special sauce, but I was able to kind of pick up enough from him to kind of understand the basics behind everything and just kind of rely on him from everything after that.
Hmm.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's great. I
The,
wish I was there to learn some of those things.
Yeah,
oh,
I bet you do.
literally, you've just took the words right out my mouth. I was just about to say that.
Well,
That would
and
be amazing.
part of it too is the fact that they kind of, I think more than anything, he kind of understood and saw where everything was heading, and they started working on combined operations technology before everybody else did. So they really had kind of a leg up on everybody,
Hmm.
and they basically maintained that edge. We have basically maintained that edge, I think, all the way since.
Hmm.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So I gotta ask, uh, there was a bit of drama in the Godfather general chat about a recent update in the middle of FCL finals. Is there any comment you'd like to make about that?
Um, I know myself. I didn't pay a lot of attention to the update. I don't know how much it actually affected the outcome, just because um, I've never gotten, or I have not yet gotten a clear answer on exactly how that building enhancement affects a combined operation. I don't know whether it's an attack or defense or both. Um, so I don't know, but I think our game plan, it was not reliant upon that building enhancement. So
Yeah.
maybe it added in our favor. I'm not sure. Um,
Well,
I
you
know.
you never know what applies to what, anyways.
Yeah, I mean, there's no exact number that you get based on these building enhancements and initiative and so forth. But the only thing I know for sure is that even after all these building enhancements, let me put it that way, after all these building enhancements, we had the initiative in every single cob after that update. So you take that for what it's worth. Um, the other part of that though is that our strongest player, who missed most of the battle in the first round, he was available for every single minute in the next two rounds.
Yeah.
So you
So
know, it's
it's a trade-off.
it's
Yeah.
one of those things you'll probably never have an exact answer on.
Yeah.
Um, if it was something that in this next season, that might be something that has a much bigger impact on game planning going forward. You could probably say that.
Yeah. Um, What do you think? I don't want to be negative on the devs, but what do you think about dropping an update like that in the middle of the finals of one of the biggest events in the game?
Yeah, I mean, not a good idea. I mean, wait a week.
Yeah.
Like everybody can agree on that. Like, why would you do that? Um, again, we can't say 100% on what type of impact it had, but the fact that something like that, if somebody, this is one thing that I do think. I think that my family uh, probably put more of an emphasis on those enhancements that VGH did. I could be wrong about that. I don't know, but I think that we probably did. And if you do the math on it, um, I know we don't have anybody that's maxed out, but if you have three cities that are maxed out, you can reduce your opponent's initiative by up to 180 points, which is insane.
That's
So,
great.
yeah, going forward in the next season, I think that's going to be something that will be a big emphasis, and it's going to be interesting to see what other kind of quote unquote enhancements that they have after that.
Hmm.
I would just like to have a comment on this for a moment. And I want to preface this to say that I am not defending or excusing in any way, shape, or form. Okay. I will like to say that I have 20 years in software development and marketing experience. So I speak from my own personal experience only. Software developers come up with a timeline of when they do things way in advance. So this enhancement update that came out in the middle of FCL week, I guarantee was planned at least 2 months in advance, if not more.
Oh, sure. 100%.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, the timing was sucky, but it's not like someone looked at the clock in the calendar and said, "Oh, let me press a button and f everything up."
Yeah.
That's just
Hey,
not how
she
it
said the
works.
F word.
Sorry, I tried. But also, if you look at the community announcements and you go back, several months, I went back all the way to April. I'm sure if you go back further, you can see that consistently, nearly every single update has had something to do with an enhancement, whether it's a building enhancement or it's a troop enhancement. But every single update has touched one of those. And I don't feel that that's going to stop.
No.
So this
Yeah, I
is
don't think
something
so
that's
either.
here to stay and it's going to grow. And I guarantee that the next time we have FCL, which is going to be next year, it's going to be something different. So we have building enhancements this year, and it's going to be something else next year.
Capo
Or
enhancements.
Yeah.
Bernardo gets a capo enhancement.
Oh God. I would. I can't even.
And to tag on to all of that, just to remind our community, this is a war strategy game.
Yep.
And it is our responsibility as players of that type of game to take advantage of every opportunity that we have to ensure that we're playing the game to the best of our ability.
I agree.
Yeah, I'm not going to argue with that. I mean, yeah, at the end of the day, it is a strategy game. Yeah, that is well said. So now FCL's come to an end for this season, at least. I'm guessing you're now looking forward to KCL, and who who do you think is going to be, a big competitor for your next battles, including, KCL and the future FCL?
KCL. Honest to God, I don't really care about KCL. Um, it's it's not a family based event, so like you can literally create a super team, um,
Um,
which
Yep.
I've been a part of before. So you can take a bunch of Mansion 37s put them all in a team, and then you just win. Um, so it's not about family. It's just about, whoever kind of organizes the strongest um, mansions together.
Hmm.
So I don't put that much emphasis on it. That's just me personally. I'm sure there are people out there that enjoy the event a lot more, but yeah, I don't care that much about it, and I'm definitely not going to use all my licenses. So I'll probably participate occasionally, but it's not that important to me. But next FCL, definitely. Um, I know I'm looking forward to it already. I'm glad this one is over because it was so stressful, but definitely looking forward to the next one and seeing what the next kind of competition brings.
Yeah,
It'd be
100%.
really nice to see another rematch of the two finalists. I'd actually, I'd love to see that. Um, that's going to be a very interesting fight. I mean, obviously they're going to learn quite a lot. Well, hopefully they're going to learn quite a lot from your last battles. So that should give you something to look forward to, especially next round.
Oh, definitely. And by next FCL, we'll probably have tier 14 at that point. So
Oh, good Lord.
you never know what's going to happen.
Yeah, I was thinking the exact same thing. Yeah.
M38s and T14s.
Oh, kill me.
Oh, it's gonna be. Yeah.
As everybody's wallet empties.
Yeah,
They
mine's
are nothing
already
but
empty. Like,
predictable.
yeah, I've quit spending. Like, I barely even do monthly cards now, which is why I'm so far behind in terms of everything else. But um, yeah, I don't. Yeah,
Well, that's how this game works. Especially once you get
yeah.
up to M36, M37, it just becomes ridiculous.
Oh, it's
And it's
another problem.
basically it's an Evo wish list is basically what it is.
I have liked a lot of the updates they've done, but I wish they would continue doing more of the enhancement stuff instead of doing a M38 and T14s already. I think they need to make sure everything runs well at this level and then move on in the future. But I've liked the last few updates, honestly. So,
I do agree. There's plenty that they could be working on aside from the next mansion upgrade.
Yeah,
It would be nice, yeah. It
I mean,
would be nice.
100%. Bernardo's been coming soon for 7 years, so
yeah,
you know.
it's true. It's true.
I am so looking forward to that. Seriously. That
Yeah,
that's taken
I'm sure
forever.
he is too.
It has to be good. They couldn't have made him wait that long to get it and it not be amazing. You
Yeah,
know?
well, yeah,
It's got to be a game changer.
yeah.
We shall see. Well,
Yeah.
Sterling, I got one last question for you, and it is the most important question you will answer. Um,
That's debatable.
it's honestly groundbreaking. So I want to warn everyone of what's about to happen. Okay, this is super important. So the question is, would you rather have unlimited bacon but no in-game gold?
Yes.
No in-game
No,
gold though.
unlimited bacon. Unlimited bacon.
I don't even get to do the other option.
No, unlimited bacon.
Like, is there any other option?
I don't even care.
I don't need to play this game anymore. I'll just be eating bacon.
Hell yeah.
But just so you know, we'll go through the next option. Or
All right, fine.
would you rather have in-game gold and an unlimited amount of in-game gold, but no in-game gold?
Unlimited bacon. Hands down. Like, there's no question.
That's fair. That's fair.
I
I'll,
feel like Frigg understands this better than anybody else.
No, I totally get it. I totally get it.
look, on my birthday, I used to eat a pound of bacon every morning, so I
Yeah.
I understand too. So that seems to be the end of all of our questions here. Sterling, is there anything else you wanted to add about the FCL finals before we get out of here?
Um, now I can't think of anything else. I mean, again, much respect to DTH. Like they tremendous family. I think we had an advantage in that we had T-13 troops and they did not. Um, and I don't know. Aside from that, uh, again, much respect to them. I wish them all the best in the future, and hopefully we see them in the finals next year.
Yeah, definitely a well fought match. Frigg and CJ, you got anything you want to add?
I just want to say thank you to Sterling for agreeing to come on to our podcast and entertain us with your answers. And I'm sorry that DTH didn't come. They were absolutely, just parrot what you said, that they were absolutely amazing. And I look forward to seeing what they are able to do in the future, as well as you guys. I really hope that they and others are able to bring you guys some heavy competition and you guys get to enjoy it a little bit more because I know that's tough not having somebody that can beat you once in a while.
Thank you for that.
Yeah, a lot of what Frigg said. We appreciate you coming on. Um, it's been amazing. I mean, you haven't been able to answer all my questions, but I am very specific. I'm not going to complain. You've gave me a lot to think about, and I think anyone that watches this is going to give them a lot to think about as well. We've just been able to look inside your brain a little bit, and it's actually been really enjoyable.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
If you only knew what was inside my brain.
Oh, I've got a slight idea.
No, you really don't. You really don't.
Gosh.
And in the time I've known you, Sterling, I've become to be afraid of your brain and what's inside.
Yeah, that's a good yeah.
I don't need any
Good
more
answer.
Urban Dictionary screenshots.
Good answer.
Oh God, do that.
Well, I guess we're gonna get out of here, guys. Thank you guys so much. Sterling, thanks for coming on again. We're gonna link your channel in the description of the video once it comes out, and I look forward to seeing what you guys do and what we do as a podcast with Louis' Restaurant. So, thanks, guys.
Thanks again, guys. Thanks, Sterling.
Bye.
Bye.
Hey guys, Luffy here. Just wanted to interject here at the end to make sure that you follow us on social media. We have Instagram, X, and TikTok, all for you guys, and it's set up and it's linked in the bio. And as always, thanks for being with us, and leave the gun and take the cannoli.